my first Bachian memory was to go on tour with the B minor Mass. I was not playing, of course, I was a child, accompanying my parents. The cast was absolutely extraordinary. Wonderful singers. Michel Corbeau conducting, B minor Mass, and my father playing third oboe in the Sanctus. And that's when the music of Bach just hit me, and I thought I want to devote my life to Johann Sebastian Bach. My father lived in Switzerland, and I have a brother living in Switzerland. My wife is from Paris, so Burgundy seemed to be an ideally placed area. And, well, it's very nice to live in Burgundy. They make good wine. Living in Burgundy has also offered me the opportunity to do some research, some historic research on music, which is, I would say in French, c'est joindre l'utile à l'agréable. I like this piece because it's in fact an invention. It's a two-part invention with dialogue between the right hand and the left hand. They're sort of ping-ponging a theme until they get tired of it. But I've always liked this piece because for me there is something quite didactic, pedagogic about it, and indeed he includes it in his notebook for his son, Willem Friedemann Bach. We actually know what Bach gave to his students when they came to study with him. We actually have quite an interesting document, which is in the memoirs of a certain Gerber, whose father was so it's a bit late, 1790, but when I read it, I feel it's trustworthy. And Gerber says, well, my father went to Bach. Well, Bach gave him, first of all, some inventions. That's the way to start. And then he gave him a few suites. We don't quite know which ones they were. Maybe the French suites. And then the well-tempered clavier, which he actually played complete for him 3 times. This is the text, so we don't quite know whether he played it 3 times in a row or 3 times over a lapse of time, and how he played them, if he went up chromatically or in cycle of fifths, or just picking one piece from here and this. But this piece for me is a didactic piece, surely because it's written for Friedemann. There are 2 versions of it. Its genesis went through different stages. And just to give you an example of something I like, for Friedemann, he starts with this. So starting with the 5th. But in the version he integrated in the well-tempered clavier, he starts with the 3rd. And that's well, in a way you could feel, this seems to be maybe a better solution. But, on the other hand, you immediately have this rather shocking 3rd. C sharp, E sharp, which is tuned actually an F. And so that makes, gives you a kind of grinding, acid, vinegary feeling. The fugue has, for me, it's probably the most joyful and good-humoured theme which Bach ever composed. It starts, here again, it starts with a kind of tour de gosier, cadence, turning around a note. And then, yes. It has something very folksy, and it also has an element of dance. The prelude is not so much a dance for me, but the fugue is. And if there's one dance which it evokes, I think it's the bourrée. And indeed, we could play it. I don't play it as fast as a bourrée, but there's this idea. And these jumping six going down, this sequence of jumping six is something which is extraordinary, radiant and happy and joyful. And you could see it also as a concerto. There is a long central part where the theme disappears. Actually, it disappears for quite some time when you have these sort of garlands going down. It goes on and on and on and on, and it takes some time for the fugue theme to come back. Hence, giving a kind of feeling of concerto with episodes, ritornelli, and then a longer episode, and the final ritornello, we come back to the concerto, or sonata form 4. But it's something I feel personally, it's a very personal feeling I have regarding this fugue. Surely a wonderful piece to play.